The reason most people struggle with their goals isn't because they lack talent, resources, or a winning environment. It's because they set goals that have no emotional engine behind them. When you create a goal without understanding the deeper why, you are essentially building a car with no fuel. It may look impressive on the outside, it may sound ambitious when you tell others, and it may feel exciting for the first few days, but it doesn't have the power to take you anywhere meaningful. A goal that isn't rooted in a clear purpose will eventually collapse the moment life tests your consistency, and life always tests consistency. The biggest problem with a goal that lacks a strong why is that it becomes negotiable. You can easily delay it, adjust it, shrink it, or completely abandon it because nothing about it feels personal. You're not emotionally invested. You haven't tied the goal to something that truly matters to who you are or who you want to become. It stays on the surface level, and surface level goals break the moment discomfort appears. When you wake up late, when stress hits, when doubt creeps in, when your routine gets messy, or when you're simply not in the mood, a weak why gives you permission to quit. This is why two people can set the exact same goal: lose weight, start a business, become financially stable, build confidence, but experience completely different results. One fails quickly while the other becomes unstoppable. The difference isn't discipline, it isn't talent, it isn't luck, it's emotional connection. The second person knows exactly why the goal matters. They can feel it in their bones. They've attached the goal to something powerful: their identity, their future, their family, their self-respect, their pain, their vision. A strong why doesn't let you quit just because you're tired. It doesn't let you slack off because it's raining or because things feel overwhelming. A strong why turns your goal into a promise, something you're almost spiritually committed to, and when you're committed, you don't negotiate. You adjust, you push, you adapt, you find a way. But most people never take the time to ask themselves the deeper questions. They chase goals that look good on paper but don't resonate internally. They choose goals that society approves of, or goals that sound impressive, or goals that they think they should want. They build goals out of pressure, comparison, ego, or fear, and not out of genuine desire. This is why they feel stuck. This is why their progress feels forced instead of natural. This is why they give up after the initial excitement fades. If the goal isn't truly yours, your heart won't fight for it. And if your heart won't fight for it, the goal becomes a burden instead of a mission. You start feeling resistance every time you try to move forward. You procrastinate, overthink, and talk yourself out of action because something inside you is disconnected. Your body goes through the motions, but your mind and emotions are somewhere else. You're trying to build a life that doesn't feel like your own. That creates internal friction, and friction kills momentum. To break this cycle, you must stop setting goals based on what others expect from you. You must stop living your life according to trends, comparisons, or external validation. Instead, you need to dig deep and uncover the real reasons behind what you want. Not the socially acceptable reasons, not the easy to explain reasons, the real ones, the ones you might hesitate to admit, the ones that scare you or excite you or make you emotional. Those are the reasons that fuel long-term action. Because at the end of the day, a powerful goal is not about numbers or measurable outcomes. Those are important, yes, but the real engine of transformation is emotional meaning. When your goal is tied to your pain, it becomes therapy. When it's tied to your hope, it becomes your light. When it's tied to your sense of purpose, it becomes your identity, and identity-based goals are unbreakable. Look at the goals you've failed in the past. Chances are the problem wasn't the strategy or the timing. It wasn't that you were lazy or unmotivated. It was simply that the goal didn't matter enough at a deep level. You liked the idea of the result, but you weren't connected to the journey. You wanted the finish line, but you didn't have a reason strong enough to carry you through the middle, the messy part, the difficult part, the lonely part. Every meaningful goal has a middle phase that tests everything you are. Without a strong why, you don't survive that middle. You retreat to comfort, and comfort becomes your silent killer. But when your goal is fueled by a powerful emotional reason, everything changes. You start showing up differently. You push through setbacks faster. You don't beat yourself up for mistakes. You correct them. You build resilience because your purpose is bigger than your excuses. You find clarity because your direction is rooted in something real. You become more disciplined not because someone told you to be, but because the vision you're chasing feels non-negotiable. A strong why transforms your goal from something you wish to achieve into something you're determined to create. It gives you the courage to start and the strength to continue. It gives you ownership over your life instead of allowing life to control you. It anchors your focus, sharpens your decisions, and fuels your consistency. This is why the first and most important step in pursuing any goal is not planning. It's not scheduling, it's not visualizing, it's clarity, emotional clarity. You must understand why the goal matters to you on a personal level, why it deserves your time, your energy, your discipline, and your sacrifice. When that clarity is strong, everything else becomes easier. Motivation becomes irrelevant because purpose takes over. Discipline becomes natural because the vision pulls you. Consistency becomes instinctive because you're not forcing yourself. You're fulfilling something that feels meaningful. If you want to stop making the biggest mistake in your life goals, start by asking yourself, why do I want this? What will this change for me? What pain will this heal? What future will this create? Who will I become? When you answer these questions honestly, you don't just set goals. You ignite them, and once a goal is ignited, nothing can stop you from achieving it. Most people dream big but operate small. They set massive goals, life-changing visions, and powerful ambitions, yet their daily habits look nothing like the future they say they want. This is one of the biggest contradictions in personal growth. People expect a transformation while living the exact same way they always have. They want a different life without a different routine. They want extraordinary results supported by ordinary habits. This mismatch between dream and discipline is the silent force that destroys potential long before failure ever shows up. Every major goal, whether it's building a business, improving your health, mastering a skill, or changing your lifestyle, requires a system of habits that matches its weight. But many people set high-level goals while maintaining low-level actions. They want financial freedom but keep spending impulsively. They want a healthy body but keep prioritizing comfort over consistency. They want confidence but avoid situations that build it. They want mastery but only practice when they feel like it. And they wonder why results seem so far away. The truth is simple. Your dreams don't determine your future. Your habits do. Your goals create direction, but your habits create destiny. You can talk about what you want, visualize it, journal about it, post about it, and even plan it out in detail, but none of it matters if your daily actions stay misaligned. Big goals aren't achieved through big bursts of effort once in a while. They are achieved through small, consistent, disciplined behaviors repeated every day, even when the excitement disappears. The problem is that most people get seduced by the emotion of a big goal. Big dreams feel good. They lift your spirits. They give you a sense of hope. They ignite motivation, but motivation fades quickly. Once that initial fire cools, the real work begins. And that's where the daily habits either step up or fail you. If your habits aren't built to sustain the dream collapses under its own weight. Think about it like building a skyscraper. You can design an impressive structure, draw detailed blueprints, and create a beautiful vision, but if the foundation isn't strong enough, the entire building falls. Your habits are that foundation. Without the right habits, your goals become unstable ideas instead of achievable realities. You cannot expect a high-rise life on a one-story foundation. Many people don't fail because their goals are too big. They fail because their habits are too small. They underestimate the power of daily discipline. They assume success comes from dramatic, sweeping changes instead of subtle, consistent ones. But real change happens at the micro level, through the things you do repeatedly, not the things you do occasionally. Frequency beats intensity, consistency beats perfection. Showing up beats talking about showing up. But why do people hold on to weak habits even when they know they want more? Because big dreams require identity shifts, and identity shifts are uncomfortable. Your habits are a reflection of who you believe you are. If you still see yourself as someone who procrastinates, someone who avoids challenges, someone who quits early, someone who prefers comfort over growth, then your actions will mirror that identity. And the moment your big goal asks you to behave like a different version of yourself, your old identity resists. This resistance shows up as excuses, distractions, and emotional friction. You start telling yourself you're too tired, too busy, too stressed, too unprepared. You promise yourself you'll start tomorrow or next week or when life calms down. But life never truly calms down. Growth never feels perfectly timed. The perfect moment doesn't exist. All you have is the moment you're in right now, and whether or not you use it defines your future. The key is to align your daily habits with the identity required to achieve the goal. If you want to be fit, act like a fit person. If you want to be wealthy, behave like someone who respects money. If you want to be confident, do what confident people do. If you want to be successful, adopt the habits of successful people. Your identity may not match your goal yet, but your habits can lead the way. You don't wait to become the person. You behave like that person until your identity catches up. A common mistake people make is trying to overhaul everything at once. They attempt to transform their entire lifestyle overnight, which leads to burnout and inconsistency. Big changes require small, manageable steps. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be persistent. One healthy meal, 1 hour of learning, 1 page of reading, 1 step toward your goal, 1 disciplined decision at a time. When repeated long enough, these small actions compound into massive results. Your dream life is built in the quiet moments, the mornings you wake up early when you don't want to, the nights you put in work when no one is watching, the days you choose discipline over distraction. These aren't glamorous habits, they aren't exciting or flashy, but they are the hidden architecture of success. The difference between people who achieve their goals and those who don't often comes down to one simple truth. Achievers align their habits with their ambitions. They understand that daily disciplines are non-negotiable. They don't rely on motivation. They rely on routine. They don't wait for the right mood. They create the right environment. They don't get distracted by short-term pleasure. They stay focused on long-term purpose. When you upgrade your habits, you upgrade your life. When your actions match your vision, momentum kicks in. When consistency becomes part of your identity, progress becomes inevitable. Your goals stop feeling like distant dreams and start becoming natural extensions of your daily behavior. If you want to stop making the biggest mistake with your life goals, start making sure your habits reflect the future you want, not the past you've lived. Your daily actions must be strong enough, consistent enough, and purposeful enough to carry the weight of your dreams. Because big goals don't demand big talk. They demand big commitment expressed through small, repeated disciplines every single day. Most people wait for motivation as if it's some magical force that will suddenly strike, lift them out of bed, erase their doubts, multiply their energy, and guide them effortlessly toward their goals. But motivation is unreliable, inconsistent, and heavily influenced by your mood, environment, and emotional state. If you depend on motivation to change your life, your dreams will remain stuck in the land of maybe someday. The truth is simple but uncomfortable. Motivation gets you started, but discipline is what keeps you going. And most people never achieve their goals because they spend their entire lives waiting to feel ready instead of building the discipline that would move them forward regardless of how they feel. Discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. It is the trait that takes over the moment motivation disappears, which is often within days. Everyone feels excited in the beginning. Everyone feels energized when an idea is new. But that excitement fades quickly because excitement is an emotion, and emotions fluctuate. Discipline, however, is a decision, a deliberate choice to act in alignment with your goals even when your emotions try to pull you in another direction. The biggest misunderstanding people have is believing that disciplined people feel motivated all the time. They don't. They simply act despite their feelings. They have learned that waiting for motivation is a trap. If they waited for the perfect mood, the perfect moment, or the perfect level of confidence, they would fall behind. So instead, they train themselves to show up whether they feel inspired or not. This ability to act independently of emotion is what separates achievers from dreamers. When you depend on motivation, your progress becomes inconsistent. You'll have days where you get a lot done, followed by days or weeks where you do nothing at all. You'll start projects but rarely finish them. You'll commit to goals but never follow through. You'll make promises to yourself that you break repeatedly. And each time you break those promises, your self-trust weakens. Without self-trust, discipline becomes even harder because deep down you don't believe you'll stick to anything. This creates a cycle of failure that feels personal, but is actually just a lack of structure. Discipline breaks that cycle. Discipline creates stability. It removes decision fatigue because you don't negotiate with yourself. You execute. While motivation says, I feel like doing this, a discipline says, I committed to doing this, so I will. This shift is life-changing. It turns your goals from optional ideas into non-negotiable responsibilities. Just like brushing your teeth, paying your bills, or showing up to work. Your goals become part of who you are, not something you attempt only when you feel excited. But many people avoid discipline because it feels restrictive. They think discipline means sacrificing freedom. In reality, discipline is the foundation of freedom. When you are disciplined with your habits, you gain freedom from procrastination, freedom from regret, freedom from chaos, and freedom from feeling stuck. Lack of discipline might feel liberating in the moment, but it traps you in a life far smaller than the one you want. True freedom comes from having the strength to control your actions, not be controlled by your impulses. Another reason people rely on motivation is because it feels more exciting. Motivation sounds inspiring, discipline sounds boring. Motivation feels like adrenaline, and discipline feels like routine. But routine is exactly what you need to achieve anything meaningful. No one transforms their life through random bursts of effort. They transform it through consistent actions repeated long enough to produce lasting results. The gym only works if you show up repeatedly. Business only grows if you put in effort daily. Skills only develop through repeated practice. Relationships only improve with constant attention. All of these require discipline, not occasional inspiration. If you look at the people who have achieved extraordinary things, you'll notice one common pattern. They all built daily disciplines that supported their vision. They didn't rely on feeling motivated to write the book, practice the sport, study the material, build the business, or improve their health. They created systems, schedules, and habits that made progress automatic. Their success wasn't the result of passion alone, it was the result of structure. Passion can ignite you, but structure sustains you. People often say they will start when they feel more motivated or feel more confident. But confidence doesn't come before action. Confidence comes from action. Every time you show up, even when it's hard, even when you don't feel ready, you build confidence. You start trusting yourself to follow through. You start proving to yourself that you can do difficult things. You start realizing that most of the limitations you believed in were emotional illusions, not actual barriers. Discipline builds this internal strength because discipline forces you to act even in moments of doubt. There will be mornings when you don't want to get up early, workouts when your body feels tired, tasks that feel overwhelming, responsibilities that you'd rather ignore. Discipline teaches you to push through those moments. Not recklessly, not without rest, but consistently. It teaches you that discomfort is temporary, but regret is permanent. It teaches you that progress is the result of small, unglamorous decisions made repeatedly. When you stop waiting for motivation and start practicing discipline, everything in your life changes. You become more reliable, your work ethic sharpens, your focus deepens, your resilience grows. Challenges no longer derail you, they refine you. Obstacles no longer scare you, they strengthen you. You stop viewing success as something that happens to lucky people and start viewing it as something you earn through repeated effort. Discipline doesn't just change your results. It changes your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries and starts seeing yourself as someone who follows through. You become the kind of person who doesn't quit, the kind of person who doesn't make excuses, the kind of person who can depend on personal integrity. And once you become that person, your goals stop being fantasies. They become inevitabilities. If you want to stop making the mistake of waiting for motivation, start building discipline into your daily life. Start with small commitments, follow through even when you're tired, build routines that support your vision, hold yourself accountable. The moment you stop waiting to feel ready and start acting because your future depends on it, you'll unlock a level of power, consistency, and progress that motivation alone could never give you. One of the most common reasons people stall on their life goals is because they confuse being busy with being productive. They believe that constant activity equals progress, but activity without direction is just motion. It looks impressive, it feels exhausting, but it leads nowhere meaningful. This is why so many people end their days tired, overwhelmed, and frustrated, but not any closer to the life they want. They are doing a lot, but achieving very little. They are hustling, grinding, moving, but not advancing. And the dangerous part is that being busy gives the illusion of progress, making it even harder to notice that you're stuck. When you confuse activity with progress, you start celebrating the wrong things. You feel good because you checked off tasks, even if the tasks didn't matter. You feel satisfied because you worked hard. Even if the work didn't move you an inch toward your future, you mistake motion for momentum. And momentum is not created by doing more, it's created by doing what actually matters. Your life doesn't change because of how many hours you're active. It changes because of how many actions align with your goals. The world glorifies busyness. People brag about how tired they are, how packed their schedules are, how many things they're juggling. But busyness isn't a sign of ambition. It's often a sign of lack of clarity. When you don't know exactly what you want, you fill your days with whatever comes your way. You react instead of plan. You drift instead of direct. You allow your energy to be scattered across responsibilities, distractions, and priorities that aren't even yours. This drains your time and leaves no space for the actions that truly matter. Progress, on the other hand, is intentional. It requires clarity, focus, and choices that sometimes feel uncomfortable. It means saying no to things that don't matter so you can say yes to the things that do. It means understanding the difference between the urgent and the important. The urgent demands your attention, but the important shapes your future. Most people spend their lives buried in the urgent while ignoring the important, and then wonder why nothing changes. Consider how often people stay busy with tasks that keep them comfortable, organizing, planning, researching, preparing, talking about what they want to do, yet never actually doing the difficult, uncomfortable steps that create real progress. They convince themselves they're working toward their goals when in reality they're avoiding them. They stay in motion to escape discomfort. They stay busy to avoid facing the deeper fears: fear of failure, fear of success, fear of judgment, fear of change. True progress requires facing those fears head on. It requires stepping out of the comfort zone of busy work and into the discomfort of meaningful action. This is the action that moves you forward, the action that feels risky, unfamiliar, and challenging. It's the action that demands growth, and growth never happens inside your comfort zone, no matter how productive you feel while staying there. Another problem with confusing activity with progress is that it drains your energy and steals your momentum. When you spread yourself thin across countless low-impact tasks, you use up the mental and physical fuel you could have invested in the work that truly matters. This creates a cycle of burnout without breakthroughs. You feel like you're working non-stop, but the results don't reflect the effort, and that disconnect eventually kills your motivation. Focused action, however, multiplies your energy. When you spend your time on the right tasks, the ones aligned with your goals, you feel energized instead of depleted. You see progress faster, which builds confidence. You achieve small wins, which create momentum. You stop feeling lost and start feeling powerful because your actions are finally connected to your purpose. The people who achieve their goals don't do more. They do what matters. They understand that progress is strategic. They don't drown in tasks, they prioritize them. They don't react to everything, they choose what deserves attention. They aren't impressed by busyness, they focus on effectiveness. They measure their days not by how many hours they worked, but by how many steps they took toward the future they want. To shift from activity to progress, you need clarity. Clarity about what you want. Clarity about why you want it. Clarity about the few actions that matter most. Without clarity, you become a slave to distractions. With clarity, you become a master of direction. When you know exactly what moves you forward, you stop wasting energy on everything else. This requires asking yourself hard questions. What actions produce actual results? What tasks am I doing just to feel productive? What am I avoiding because it's uncomfortable? What should I eliminate completely? What should I prioritize even if it's difficult? These questions may feel confronting, but they unlock freedom. They stop you from living life on autopilot and start pushing you toward intentional growth. Another important shift is learning to slow down. Paradoxically, slowing down helps you speed up. When you pause to evaluate your direction, you prevent yourself from running fast toward the wrong things. You stop confusing exhaustion with effort. You make room for deeper thinking, smarter strategies, and more meaningful actions. A calm mind produces clearer decisions, and clear decisions produce real progress. It's also essential to embrace the idea that progress often feels less exciting than activity. Progress requires discipline, patience, and consistency. It often looks quiet and unglamorous. It may not give you the instant dopamine rush that busyness provides. But progress compounds, it builds, it stacks small wins until they turn into major breakthroughs. Activity rarely compounds. It resets every day, but progress grows over time, transforming your life from the inside out. If you want to stop making the mistake of confusing motion with momentum, start measuring your days differently. Don't ask, was I busy today? Ask, did I move closer to my goal today? Don't ask, how much did I do? Ask, did I do what mattered? Don't chase the feeling of productivity. Chase the reality of progress. When your actions become aligned, intentional, and focused, you stop spinning your wheels and start moving forward with purpose. You stop exhausting yourself with meaningless activity and start building the life you actually want. And once you make this shift, progress becomes your new normal, and your goals become not just possible, but inevitable. One of the most hidden but powerful forces shaping your life goals is fear. Fear of failing, fear of looking foolish, fear of disappointing others, fear of stepping into the unknown, fear of being judged, fear of not being good enough, fear of losing what you already have. And without realizing it, most people allow these fears to quietly decide the limits of their goals. They build dreams that feel safe, not dreams that truly excite them. They choose what seems achievable, not what they actually want. They shrink their vision until it fits comfortably inside their current confidence, and then they wonder why their goals don't inspire them, challenge them, or change them. Fear is subtle. It doesn't always show up with panic or anxiety. Sometimes it disguises itself as practicality, logic, or being realistic. It convinces you to aim smaller, to delay your dreams, to wait for perfect conditions, to only try things you're already good at, to stay in environments you've outgrown. Fear whispers in a calm, reasonable voice, and that's what makes it dangerous. You think you're making smart decisions, but you're actually making safe decisions. Safe decisions preserve the life you currently have, but they never create the life you want. Fear shows up the moment you try to stretch beyond your comfort zone, the moment you think about changing careers, starting a business, moving to a new place, improving your health, leaving a toxic relationship, mastering a skill, or breaking a pattern. Fear begins negotiating. It tells you you're not ready. It tells you it's too risky. It tells you to wait for the right moment, even though the right moment never comes. Fear creates doubt disguised as caution and hesitation disguised as logic. But here's the truth. Your goals should scare you a little. If they don't, they're not big enough. Growth lives on the other side of fear, not within the safety of your comfort zone. Every breakthrough, every transformation comes from doing something your old self wasn't comfortable doing. If your goals don't challenge you, they won't change you. And if you're only choosing goals that feel within reach, you're not dreaming. You're just planning. The reason fear is so effective at shrinking your goals is because your mind is wired for survival, not success. Your brain is designed to keep you safe, not to help you grow. Anything unfamiliar or uncertain feels threatening, even if it's good for you. That's why you might feel fear when pursuing something positive, a new opportunity, a healthier lifestyle, a bold ambition. Your brain sees risk. Your future sees possibility, and the battle between those two forces decides the size of your life. When fear is in control, you set goals that require minimal vulnerability. You choose paths with minimal failure risk. You stay close to what you already know. You surround yourself with routines, environments, and people that don't challenge you. Your dreams turn into compromises, and your goals turn into watered-down versions of what you actually want. It feels safe, but it's not fulfilling. Safety is not the same as satisfaction. Security is not the same as purpose. Comfort is not the same as happiness. And the real tragedy is that most people convince themselves that they're incapable of more, not because they lack potential, but because fear has convinced them to stop before they start. They underestimate what they're capable of because they've never given themselves the chance to find out. Fear kills more dreams through hesitation than failure ever will. Failure can teach you, strengthen you, redirect you, and shape you. But hesitation keeps you stuck in a life you don't want, waiting for courage that never arrives. The only way to outgrow fear is to step into it. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the decision that something matters more than fear. It's the mindset that says, I'm scared, but I'm doing it anyway. Every time you act despite fear, you weaken its power. Every time you push through discomfort, your comfort zone expands. Every time you seek growth instead of safety, your life transforms. The goals worth pursuing are the ones that stretch you, the ones that require you to learn new skills, break old habits, and build new strength. The ones that demand resilience, patience, and self-belief. The ones that feel risky because they carry meaning. Nothing meaningful is achieved without some level of fear. You cannot choose a significant life while prioritizing comfort. You cannot build a bold future while protecting your current limitations. Think about the goals you've abandoned in the past. Many of them weren't impossible. You just let fear speak louder than your ambition. Maybe you told yourself it wasn't the right time. Maybe you said you'd start when you have more confidence, more money, more clarity, more support. But confidence doesn't come before action. It comes from action. Clarity doesn't come before trying. It comes from trying. Growth doesn't come before courage. It comes from courage. The things you think you need before starting are often the things you only gain after starting. If you want to stop letting fear limit your goals, start asking yourself a different question. Instead of what if I fail, ask what if I succeed. Instead of what if I'm not good enough, ask what if this is exactly what I'm meant for. Instead of what if this goes wrong. Ask what if this changes everything. Fear focuses on what you might lose. Vision focuses on what you might gain. Fear keeps you stuck in the past. Vision pulls you toward the future, and the future you want requires boldness. It requires risks. It requires making decisions that not everyone will understand. It requires stepping out of the version of yourself that fear created and stepping into the version of yourself that purpose demands. You don't overcome fear by waiting for courage. You build courage by doing the very thing fear tells you not to do. And the moment you do, your goals expand, your confidence expands, your life expands. Fear stops dictating your limits, and you finally give yourself permission to aim for the life you truly want, not the life your fears allow. One of the biggest mistakes people make with their life goals is expecting fast results from visions that require long-term commitment. We live in a world of instant gratification, instant responses, instant entertainment, instant access to information, instant rewards. This conditions the mind to believe that progress should be quick, visible, and exciting. But real transformation doesn't work that way. Big dreams require patience. Deep change takes time. Long-term goals demand long-term consistency, not temporary bursts of effort. And when people don't see quick progress, they assume something is wrong, either with the goal, the process, or themselves. They quit not because they're incapable, but because they misjudge the timeline of success. Expecting fast results sets you up for disappointment. It causes you to underestimate the real effort required to achieve something meaningful. It makes you impatient, anxious, and overly critical of yourself. Instead of focusing on the path, you keep checking the clock. Instead of building momentum, you keep counting how long it's taking. This obsession with speed makes you blind to actual progress. You miss subtle improvements, small wins, growing strengths, and internal shifts because you're only looking for dramatic outcomes, but every worthwhile goal unfolds gradually. Whether you're building a business, transforming your health, mastering a skill, improving your mindset, or creating a new lifestyle, progress happens in layers. The early part of the journey is usually the most deceiving because the external results are minimal even though the internal changes are massive. You're building discipline, resilience, habits, and mental strength, all invisible at first. These invisible foundations are the parts most people never see, but they are the very things that determine long-term success. Think of it like planting a seed. Nothing seems to happen for a long time. The soil looks the same every day. You water, you wait, you wonder if anything is working. What you don't see is the root system developing underground, strong, wide, stable roots that will later support growth. If you stop watering too early because you don't see results, you kill the seed before it ever breaks the surface. That's exactly what happens with life goals. People quit before the roots have time to take hold. They give up during the foundational phase, not realizing that breakthrough was just beyond the point where they stopped. Success requires patience, not because you should move slowly, but because meaningful results need time to accumulate. Your habits need time to become automatic. Your mindset needs time to shift. Your skills need time to sharpen. Your confidence needs time to grow. You cannot rush these processes, no matter how motivated or eager you are. The universe doesn't reward speed, it rewards consistency. The person who shows up daily will always surpass the person who gives maximum effort for 1 week and then quits. Another reason people expect quick results is comparison. Social media glorifies overnight success stories, rapid transformations, and highlight reels of achievement. You see people reaching their goals and assume it happened fast. But what you're seeing is the final chapter, not the years of failure, doubt, learning, discipline, and setbacks that came before it. When you compare your starting point to someone else's peak, you create unrealistic expectations for your own journey. Comparison kills patience. It makes you feel behind even when you're on the right path. It tricks you into thinking success is supposed to be immediate. The truth is, fast results are rarely sustainable. Anything gained quickly can be lost just as quickly because it didn't have time to solidify. Real progress becomes permanent only when it is built slowly and intentionally. Just like muscles need time to grow, skills need repetition to strengthen, and confidence needs experiences to mature, your goals need time to evolve. Slow growth is not failure, it's foundation. It ensures that when you finally succeed, you stay successful. Impatience also causes people to jump from goal to goal, strategy to strategy, habit to habit. They don't stick with anything long enough to see results. They keep starting over, hoping the next method will be faster. But success isn't about finding the quickest path, it's about sticking with the right path long enough for it to work. Consistency beats intensity, endurance beats speed, focus beats frenzy. When you accept that long-term goals require long-term thinking, everything changes. You stop chasing shortcuts and start building systems. You stop demanding instant results and start appreciating gradual progress. You stop feeling like a failure during the slow phases and start understanding that the slow phases are where greatness is forged. Patience doesn't mean passively waiting. It means actively working while trusting the process. It means staying committed when results aren't visible. It means showing up even when the rewards are delayed. It means understanding that every effort counts, even the small ones, because success isn't one big leap, it's thousands of small steps. None of those steps seem impressive on their own, but together they create something extraordinary. When you expect fast results, you sabotage your potential. You rush through the journey, you skip important steps, you lose motivation, and you eventually give up. But when you embrace patience, you become unstoppable. Patience gives you resilience when progress slows. It gives you clarity when doubt creeps in. It gives you strength when challenges appear. It gives you the ability to keep going long after others quit. If you want to stop making the mistake of expecting quick results, shift your focus from the outcome to the process. Ask yourself, did I show up today? Did I take one step forward? Did I honor my habits? Did I stay committed to my vision? If the answer is yes, you are succeeding. Even if the external results haven't appeared yet. Your goals are not supposed to manifest overnight. They are meant to shape you, stretch you, and strengthen you. They are meant to turn you into someone capable of handling the success you're aiming for. The journey is not a delay, it's the preparation. And the moment you embrace that truth, you free yourself from impatience and step into the mindset of someone who doesn't just reach their goals. They become the kind of person who can sustain them.